Mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says the road to the Divine, always long, often dry in appearance, but always abundant in its results. With my love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Words of our Divine Mother from the collective works of our Divine Mother, Volume 2, page 25, topic Bringing Order in the Mind. Our Divine Mother says the method will always be the same, to reflect and reflect and reflect.
Not wavering, but fixed in quiet, strong expectancy, like one who sightless listens for a command. So were they immobile on that earthly field, powers not of earth, though one in human clay. Luminous, he moved away, behind him death.
Our Divine Mother says we must take these ideas one after another and analyze them by appealing to all our common sense, all our reason, our highest sense of equity. We must weigh them in the balance of our acquired knowledge and accumulated experience, and then endeavor to reconcile them with one another, to establish harmony among them. It will often prove very difficult, for we have a regrettable tendency to let the most contradictory ideas dwell side by side in our minds. We must put all of them in place, bring order into our inner chamber, and we must do this each day just as we tidy the rooms of our house. For I suppose that our mentality deserves at least as much care as our house. Our Divine Mother says, but once again, for this work to be truly effective, we must strive to maintain in ourselves our highest, quietest, and most sincere state of mind so as to make it our own. Let us be transparent so that the light within us may fully illumine the thoughts we want to observe, analyze, classify. Let us be impartial and courageous so as to rise above our own little preferences and petty personal conveniences. Let us look at the thoughts in themselves for themselves without bias. And little by little, if we persevere in our work of classification, we shall see order and light take up their abode in our minds. But we should never forget that this order is but confusion compared with the order that we must realize in the future, that this light is but darkness compared with the light that we shall be able to receive after some time. Our Divine Mother says life is in perpetual evolution. If we want to have a living mentality, we must progress unceasingly. Moreover, this is only a preliminary work. We are still very far from true thought, which brings us into relation with the infinite source of knowledge. These are only exercises for training ourselves gradually to an individualizing control of our thoughts. For Control of the mental activity is indispensable to one who wants to meditate, says our Divine Mother. Next topic, progressing through thought in the quest for truth. Our Divine Mother says, one who strives in sincere quest for truth, one who strives in sincere quest for truth, who's ready, if necessary, to sacrifice all he had thought until then to be true, in order to draw ever nearer to the integral truth that can be no other than the progressive knowledge of the whole universe in its infinite progression, enters gradually into relation with great masses of deeper, completer, and more luminous thoughts. After much meditation and contemplation, he comes into direct contact with the universal current of pure intellectual force, and henceforth no knowledge can be veiled from him. From that moment, says our Divine Mother, from that moment, serenity, mental peace is his portion. In all beliefs, in all human knowledge, in all religious teachings, which sometimes appear so contradictory, he perceives the deep truth which nothing can now conceal from his eyes. Even errors and ignorance no longer disturb him, for, as an unknown master says, he who walks in the truth is not troubled by any error, for he knows that error is the first effort of life towards truth, says our Divine Mother. Next topic, mastery of thought. First condition. Our Divine Mother says to understand the full importance of this mastery by becoming aware through observation that our actions are the exact expression of our thoughts, and that so long as we do not have a perfect control over our mental activity, these thoughts are nothing but reflexes coming from every outside influence, sensations, and suggestions. Thus, we do not possess ourselves and can in no way be responsible for ourselves so long as we are not the masters of our thoughts, says our Divine Mother. Second condition, to will persistently an effective direction of our mental activity. Third condition, to observe our thoughts in order to become familiar with them, to know their habitual course and become aware of the ones which have a special affinity with our sensorial and emotional nature. Fourth condition, to seek in ourselves the idea which seems to be the highest, the noblest, the purest, and the most disinterested, and until the day we find a more beautiful idea to replace it, to make it the pivot around which our mental synthesis will be built up, the regulating idea in whose light all our thoughts can be seen and judged, that is accepted or rejected. Fifth condition, our Divine Mother says to undergo a regular daily mental discipline to discover among all the teachings that have been given on this subject the method that seems to be more effective and to follow scrupulously, rigorously with energy and perseverance. Some important recommendations, says our Divine Mother, to know how to take enough mental rest, not to demand
Familiar air, enormous, windless, without stir or sound. They seem to enlarge away, drawn by some wide, pale distance from the warm control gone far now. Now they would escape. Then flaming from her body's nest, alarmed, her violent spirit soared at Satyava.
Our Divine Mother says not to demand from ourselves more than we can do, to take time into account and to know how to wait patiently for the result of our effort. Lastly, without neglecting anything we can do ourselves, to know how to rely with childlike trust on the great supreme force, the divine force that is one in all beings and in all things, is our Divine Mother. Next topic, the central thought. Our Divine Mother says the ancient traditions rightly said, our origin and ourselves, our God and ourselves are one. And this oneness should not be understood merely as a more or less close and intimate relationship of union, but as a true identity. Thus, when a man who seeks the divine attempts to reascend by degrees towards the inaccessible, he forgets that all his knowledge and all his intuition cannot take him one step forward in this infinite. Neither does he know that what he wants to attain, what he believes to be so far from him, is within him. For could he know anything of the origin until he becomes conscious of this origin in himself? Our Divine Mother says it is by understanding himself, by learning to know himself, that he can make the supreme discovery and cry out in wonder like the patriarch in the Bible, "The house of God is here, and I knew it not." Our Divine Mother says that is why we must express our sublime thought, creatrix of the material worlds, and make known to all the world that fills the heaven and the earth, I am. In all things and in all beings. When all shall know this, the promised day of great transfigurations will be at hand, when in each atom of matter men shall recognize the indwelling thought of God, when in each living creature they shall perceive some hint of a gesture of God, when each man can see God in his brother, then dawn will break, dispelling the darkness, the falsehoods, the ignorance, the error and suffering that weigh upon all nature. For all nature suffers and laments as she awaits the revelation of the sons of God. Our Divine Mother says this indeed is the central thought, epitomizing all others, the thought which should be ever present to our remembrance as the sun that illumines all life. That is why I remind you of it today. For if we follow our path, bearing this thought in our hearts like the rarest jewel, the most precious treasure, if we allow it to do its work of illumination and transfiguration within us, we shall know that it lives in the center of all beings and all things, and in it we shall feel the marvelous oneness of the universe. Our Divine Mother says, then we shall understand the vanity and childishness of our mere satisfaction, our foolish quarrels, our petty passions, our blind indignations. We shall see the dissolution of our little faults, the crumbling of the last entrenchments of our limited personality and our obtuse egoism. We shall feel ourselves being swept along by this sublime current of true spirituality, which will deliver us from our narrow limits and bounds.
Of the inconscious sculptural sleep, symbols of the approach to darkness and monuments of her titanic reign.
Our Divine Mother says the individual self and the universal self are one. In every world, in every being, in everything, in every atom is the divine presence, and man's mission is to manifest it, says our Divine Mother. Next topic, the mind cannot judge. Our Divine Mother says there is one thing very difficult for the mind to do, but very important. According to me, you must never allow your mind to judge things and men. To say this is good, that is bad, this is right, that is wrong, this one has this defect, that one has that bad thing, etc. This is depreciatory judgment. For people who exercise their intelligence, the more intelligent they are, the more do they grow aware that they know nothing at all, and that with the mind one can know nothing. One may think in a particular way, judge and see in a particular way, but one is never sure of anything and never will be sure of anything. One can always say, perhaps, it is like that or like this, and so on, indefinitely, because the mind is not an instrument of knowledge. Our Divine Mother says, about the thoughts, there are pure ideas. Thoughts serve to observe pure ideas, and knowledge is well above the domain of pure ideas, as these are well above thought. One must hence know how to climb from thought to pure idea, and pure idea is itself nothing but a translation of knowledge. And knowledge can be obtained only by a total identification. So, when you put yourself in a small human mentality, the mentality of the physical consciousness which is at work at all the time, which looks at everything, judges everything from the height of its derisive superiority, which says that is bad, it should not be like that, you are sure to be always mistaken without exception. The best is to keep silent, look well at things, and little by little you make notes within yourself and keep the record without pronouncing any judgment. Our Divine Mother says, when you are able to keep all that within you quietly without agitation and present it very calmly before the highest part of your consciousness with an attempt to maintain an attentive silence and wait, then perhaps slowly, as if coming from a far distance and from a great height, something like a light will manifest, and you will know a little more of the truth. But as long as you excite your thoughts and cut them up into little bits, you will never know anything. I shall repeat this to you 100 times if necessary, says our Divine Mother. I shall repeat this to you 100 times if necessary, but I can assure you that as long as you are not convinced of this, you will never come out of your ignorance, says our Divine Mother.
Then, to that She'll see a heavy line arrive where his feet touch the shadowy marshes brink. Turning arrested, luminous Satyavan looked back with his wonderful eyes at Savitri. But death pealed forth his vast, abysmal cry. "Oh, mortal, turn back to thy transient kind. Aspire not to accompany death to his home, as if thy breath could live where time must die."